All right, everyone. Thanks once again for joining us on Exit Your Way Live. This is a really special episode for me. Actually, I'm kind of nervous for this. I'll just be right out there because I'm interviewing family. And I've looked like an idiot a lot around my family, but hopefully not today. So with me today, I've got Craig Pistulka. Craig is the president and founder of DSI, Design Solutions and Integration. And glad to have you here, Craig.
Good to be here.
All right. So this is interesting. You're in a business this year that there's a lot of things that are happening in your industry you're in and those kind of things, which we'll get to in a minute. But you know, some of the things that I like to talk about with people on here are just kind of how you started out in the industry you're in and starting out in the early days, you know, because it's always good to do that.
Well, yeah, there was, I suppose, go back to way to the beginning. I learned early on, you know, in probably in the late 90s there, 99 roughly. I was getting into the automation side of stuff, and that's kind of what I went to school for a little bit, but really more self-taught to do the programming and stuff. But so I got some experience at a whey drying plant, doing some programming on the DOS side of things, and learned a lot about the electronics. And so I was able to start out in the DOS era and shift from DOS to, you know, Windows. I mean, yeah. So we're talking. It's funny to see these kids today and how they fly through the programming and everything's, you know, window based or modules or whatever. And you know, some of them are actually pretty good at scripting. But anyway, back to the beginning. You know, I started programming in a DOS software, and I remember I went back for some night classes for C programming, which helped me out tremendously on the scripting side. But I haven't done any programming probably now for the last, I suppose, 10 years now. But in the beginning, it was just me, and I don't know. When I was in school, I never thought I'd be where I'm at today. Definitely not. But it was so intriguing to see this. In school, I actually had a little handheld deal, you know, programming contacts. And I mean, it was so basic, but it was so cool because you had this little box and you put some information in, and then it would, you know, with inputs and outputs, it would control things. So
yeah,
it just intrigued me. So anyway.
So I remember, I don't know if you remember that. I remember when you worked in that whey drying plant. We went out there one night and you were showing us something you were programming where they loaded the trucks in this brand new PLC thing that controlled the truck loading or some darn thing like that. And yeah. I remember that when you were starting out, how excited you were because you really liked that stuff.
Oh yeah, it was so intriguing, and I remember doing that. And I did a bill lading and everything. So it actually, when they were done loading the truck itself, of course, it did it all automatically. And first thing it would do would CIP the truck, and then, you know, I mean, so and then it would load the truck, and then when it was done, it was ran through an actual certified meter, and then it would actually kick it back out and do a bill of lading out to an Excel spreadsheet, and then it would print out on a dot matrix printer, you know. So I mean, yeah. So yeah, and I mean, it just it gives me shivers just thinking about it, because there was nothing better than to go in and create something like that, and then boom, you know, it works. And you know, so yeah, that was cool stuff. You know, but so in that whey drying plant, plus I did a lot of work for Land O'Lakes too. But in right at 2000 there, you know, after I went to that whey drying plant, I worked there for 2 years, and then I worked for another smaller integration firm for a couple of years, and there was a gentleman that was working in there with me. And he wanted to go out on his own. And I said, well, he asked me if I wanted to be a partner with him. And I said, sure. And I mean, I didn't know anything about business, I mean, a handshake meant a contract, but so, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that's been through this story, but, so he started out and I stayed at that place we were working, but I worked at nights with him. And I started doing all of his bidding for him. And I was landing some jobs and stuff. And so then I moved over there. It was literally within a few months, I moved over there and started working there. And pretty soon we hired another programmer. And we went about a year. And I finally got up the guts to start building the house. And,
So you were working on your own, this first time out on your own. You're about a year, and you're like, okay, now it's going good enough. I'm going to build a house.
Yep. And mind you, I didn't have any paperwork signed with this guy, so it was all just on a handshake, and I assumed I had 40% of the company and he had 60% of the company, and I was like, okay, whatever. I was just hungry. I just was loving it. So lo and behold, like I said, it lasted about a year like this, and then on a Friday, I come pulling into the yard where we were building the house and preparing for my weekend of 14-hour day, 15, 16, whatever it is to work on the house and be dead to go to work on Monday morning. And I started, I think I was windows or siding or something. And all of a sudden I get this phone call from this guy, and he tells me, starts talking a little bit. And he says, well, next Friday you're out of a job. I said, what? Next Friday you're out of a job. He said, I sold the business to a local person. And I mean, I still remember it to this day. I was just flabbergasted. And I said, well, am I supposed to go work for him or what? Or, it just felt like the world was crumbling around you. And he said, you can go interview for a job. So, and I hung up the phone and I told my wife at that time, and, I just dove into the house and worked all weekend, and I went and talked to this other company, and, he cut my salary by a third because I worked on a salary plus commission. Third less pay. And I told him all the stuff I was doing. I was bidding the jobs and I'm doing all this work. And he goes, I can't pay my techs any more than that. And that's all it is. I stood up, shook his hand, walked out the door. He goes, you can start on Monday. I said, no, thank you. And I just walked out. I just, I wasn't smart ass about it or anything. I just walked out.
Yeah. And so let's just stop there. You're building a house and you're done with this guy all of a sudden, and then you're in there and they thought there was something going to happen and they were going to get you on the cheap or something. And you just said, no, I'm going to walk. I'll figure out something else.
Yep.
Yeah.
And mind you, I didn't have any paychecks coming in or anything.
Yeah.
So, but that was Friday. He told me that. And then the Monday I went and talked to him about it. So, and I walked out and I picked up the phone and called my wife at that time. And I told her what happened. And I says, I know I can make as much as they're offering me at that place. I know I can make that on my own.
Yeah.
And, that was pretty close to right around, the end of, 2000, I think it was roughly in there. And I picked up, I made it back we were living in a trailer house in Volga at that time. And I made it back there and I picked up the phone and I started making phone calls to existing customers.
Yeah.
And, I talked to, the guys in Sidney, Nebraska. and I talked them into letting me bid that project down there because they knew me. And I bid it. I got it. I didn't have a bank account. I didn't have a line of credit. I didn't have anything, man. I mean, I had a credit card and that was it. And I landed I remember it was right around $89,000 job. And I thought,
Yeah.
how am I going to do this? And I went and told the city exactly, my financial situation. I says, I can do this job. I know I can. And, but I don't have any cash to do it. And, they worked with me, by the grace of God, they worked with me and I made it through that project. And I want you to know that they're still a customer today because we are literally taking out the equipment I installed 20 years ago, and we're putting new stuff in right now. And in fact, I just seen it in the shop. So,
oh wow, that's something. That
is really, really cool. And I think that says a lot about our company too, so.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things and this is awesome because one of the reasons why I wanted you and I'm getting other business owners on here is because a lot of people, just like in sports and other people, they see successful people and they go, oh man, this should be you. But what they don't understand is the deep digging. And like you were just talking about that first, man, you were hanging it in the wind there. You hung it in the wind hard. And you got the first thing, worked really hard at it, and then you moved on. And that's what I want people to understand from these kind of things is that it's a grind. It's not. It doesn't. It's not that you don't love it, and then it's not that it's not great, but it's hard.
Oh yes, it is. It is, and it is very hard. And it is definitely not a 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 8 to 4, whatever job. I mean, it is, you live and I shouldn't say this, it's not every business is probably this way. I just know, I'm just going to say for this business anyway. I mean, it was, I quit hunting. I didn't, I didn't go play darts. I didn't go bowling. I didn't do anything. I had my 2 daughters, and when I was working, I worked, and any spare time I had was with family. So go ahead. No, go ahead.
You were supporting facilities that were 24/7 though. That's one of the other things that's unique about your business. When you support facilities that never shut down and you are the business in the beginning as you were, there isn't much reprieve.
There was many times I can remember walking into our parents' house, and for Christmas or something, or even my own house, and all of a sudden the phone rings and you got to go. You don't have anything, It's either you go do it or they're going to find somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
With technology today, with the internet and everything, it's definitely a lot easier because you can troubleshoot a lot of stuff from remotely, but we still have guys on site, so back then it was me and, I mean, you didn't have anybody else to turn to. So,
So when was it that you started hiring people and things started to take off?
So, Brian Evans, who's been with me the longest anyway. It was shortly after I got that Sydney job.
Yeah.
So he worked for Ecolab Engineering, and he went around and did CIP systems all around the United States. So he went around programming them and starting them up. And I mean, he went all over the dang place. But anyway, he had a couple weeks vacation in 2001 there, that summer sometime in there when we started that project down there. And I don't think it really kicked off till like that fall, but anyway, he came down there for a couple weeks and helped me out. put that whole system in, because I think if I remember right, there's like 30 some wells down there or something like that. And with towers and water towers and everything, and back to their,
just so people know, what you do at that, what you were doing at that time is you set up all the control systems and the electrical panels and stuff, and the control systems to run a rural water system for the city, correct?
Right. Yeah. So if you can envision this, you have, like, for this, these guys did not have a water treatment plant. Their water was good enough so they could actually pump it and chemically treat it, and then put it into the towers, So, but basically you have, but there's like, they still have their turbidity meters and their pH meters, and there's certain wells they want to flow so much because and then they had what they call a mixing station that it goes through. So it mixes and it meets the EPA regulations that way, but then it goes out to the towers. So then you're communicating, at that time it was 900 megahertz wireless radios, spread spectrum. And it was, it was a slower baud rate back then, but I think now they're putting like 2.4 gig or whatever, 5 gig or something now. Anyway, so we set up all them towers. We put the mast up. We put the antennas up. We retrofitted the existing panels and put the new PLCs in there, and did all the programming and started up. But you have to do it in a way. Of course, you need to keep the water going, so it's time consuming. So you can't shut stuff down for very long at all, but it is definitely time consuming, but it was a good project. Yeah. But so Brian was down there, and I kept talking him into, I said, man, you need to come work with me, man. You need to come work with me, man. And I can remember him being on the phone with his dad, and he goes, I don't think that's a good idea, Brian. I said, I really respect your dad, but I think he's wrong. And Brian had, at that time, he had three kids, I think it was. Yeah, 3 or 4, I don't remember. So anyway, he came to work. It was shortly after that, probably about 6 months after that, he came to work. It was in 2002, roughly. And he's been with us ever since, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So Brian was your first employee, and then you guys started. You were doing water systems and other municipal or industrial kind of automation and that kind of stuff. And then you started wastewater treatment system or municipal wastewater treatment automation projects.
Yep. And it was, since being in a rural community, we had to travel a ways, but we started out, of course, local, and there was quite a bit of work for us locally, but we did wastewater treatment plants. And then, we got into grain facilities. Because there's controls everywhere. And especially like in the ethanol plants, when brine first started coming out, we did a lot of programming for brine on the DCS systems. And then they would tie the DCS systems to a lot of Rockwell PLCs. So, I mean, we got involved in a lot of that stuff too. So over the years, but so, I mean, being in the Midwest, you got involved in a lot of different industries. So,
well, and then you you had some other partners. How did the whole transition into the partners? That was a little different thing, because this is like when you're sitting down at the table and you're I don't know, you're playing basketball and Michael Jordan steps up and, hey, we want to play a game.
Yeah, it was like that. So in about 2003, because mind you, I didn't know anything about business, but we were making it. Evans and I were, and I didn't know anything about business. So about 6 months, Evans came in there roughly in 2002, sometime in there in 2003,
Yep.
I got hooked up with another guy out of Fargo, and I didn't learn my lesson. The only lesson I learned is I signed some paperwork saying I owned a certain amount of money or a certain amount of stock in the company.
Yeah.
So I learned that much. But what I didn't learn is you need to be open book with everybody, because if you can't see cash coming in and out, it's pretty easy to steal money if you're the only person running the books. So this gentleman happened to be out of North Dakota, and we'll fast forward to 2006 when I caught him. I kind of knew he was, but then I kind of got to the point where another gentleman, Mike Wavra, who's my partner today, and I were working together. And Mike joined the company in 2003. The gentleman that is no longer a partner actually introduced me to Mike. So it's funny how the good Lord works, you know.
Yep.
That's another thing too. I give all the credit to the good Lord, because I guarantee you this dumb little farm boy right here could have never done it on his own. I mean, I put a lot of work in blood, sweat, and tears, but he presents us with the opportunities, you know. So, but anyway, so by getting this other partner in North Dakota, it allowed me to meet Mike Wabra. And that led to different work at Lamb Weston in a French fry factory in Park Rapids, Minnesota, where I met Dick Bogart. So in 2006, I found out, you know, that at the beginning of 2006, found out Jeff was stealing a lot of money out of that company. We were doing a project out in Boardman, Oregon for a gentleman by the name of Ron Offit. And who worked for Ron Offit was Dick Bogart.
Yeah.
And we were doing a project out in Boardman, Oregon. And we were flying back, Dick Bogart and I were. And he got me bumped up to first class. And I'm sitting alongside of him, and it was like, I don't know, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I think we flew out of Spokane, and I said, man, I wish I had some coffee creamer. He goes, I got something better. And he brings out them little bottle of Baileys. And, you know, he's my customer, you know. So we had, you know, I don't know. We went from Spokane to Minneapolis, and, you know, so 2.5 hour flight, whatever it is. We had, I don't know, a few of them, and we're getting to giggling and laughing. And I told him what was going on with the existing partner. And I said, how would you like to be a partner in DSI?
So you asked him.
Yep.
Oh,
I said, how would you like to be a partner in DSI? And he looked at me. And he said, could Ron be a partner in there too? And I said, I'm open for anything. I'm here to talk about it. He goes, let me talk to Ron. So it wasn't, you know, a week later, and he called me up and said, we'll do it. He said, we'll each do. So Mike Wabra, myself, and Ron Offit and Dick Bogart, we all threw $75,000 into the pot, which I had to take a second mortgage out of my house. And we all threw it in the pot in 2006, and we all became partners then.
Yeah. So now for people that don't understand North Dakota and Ron Offit, RDO equipment, people in the West and a lot of across the United States will understand Ron owns more, well, his corporations own more John Deere dealerships than anyone in the world. He's got more potato processing plants, I believe, in the he grows more potato acres than anyone in the United States. And in North Dakota, Ron is they know who he is.
Yeah. You can search for RDO or Ron Offit. Yeah.
So you're sitting here. The thing is, so something about this is because you guys are this little company, and now you have this huge presence.
Yeah.
So how did that change things?
It really, as far as like DSI, the company itself, it's not like it brought us a bunch of work or anything.
Yeah.
Well, what it did is it allowed us to go to a bank that Ron banked at. And even though we were all, on the hook for 25% of whatever we did.
Yeah.
This guy says to us, he goes, the banker says, well, I've known Ron for, worked with him for about 12 years now, roughly. And anything that guy touches, it turns to gold. So, because we went to U.S. Bank to try to get a business loan, and we showed them our business plan, and they said never happened. Okay, so we went to a local bank in West Fargo, and which was the bank that Ron worked. He did some of his banking there anyway. They knew Ron, and that allowed us to get that that operating note. We still had the $300,000. So we took that $300,000. We did an asset purchase from myself, and the old partner, and we just moved the assets over here.
Yeah.
We didn't even have to change company name or anything, and eliminated the crooked partner, and then we were off. So,
yeah. So that had to be exciting when you were able to do that and then start off. And so we're talking, this is 2006, and it wasn't much longer after that when you looked around and you said, North Dakota's got more work than water treatment plants and rural water systems.
Yeah. And, we were always looking for work. Just to keep busy and 2006 and 2007, so we were doing work around North Dakota and South Dakota and Iowa, Nebraska, a little bit over in Wyoming, some in Montana. And then 2008 and 2009 hit. Oh my God. And I want you to know that in 2006, the first time that Dick Bogart came in and he set up our accounting system. And that was the first time that I really understood what a P&L and a balance sheet was, and the true cost of doing business. Without that, I don't know how any company can make it. Small, big, whatever. Without that, if you don't know where you're going or where you're coming from, or you can't. It's just like it was like driving blind. So anyway, I can't stress that enough. But anyway, 2008 and 2009, when the recession was there, we literally were hanging on by the skin of our teeth, and we had a line of credit of $800,000. And we maxed it out. We were like at 840. The bank let us go up to. And of course, I had the second mortgage on the house. And I think Mike did too, And so we built up enough assets that we could get a asset loan on top of that for $400,000. And the bank said, okay, we'll do it. And I got to give them guys credit up there. Todd Zabel is the bank president up there, and I can't thank that guy enough for working with us. He just seen something in us, but he had collateral too, but he just seen something, I guess, in us, and with that we prayed a lot, and Dick says to me one day, he says, Craig, I'm hearing some noise about North Dakota and oil. He said, you need to go up there. And I got scared. First time I really got scared. I was like, I don't know anything about oil. I'm like, oil, explosions, I don't know anything about it. But it got to the point where it was either that or nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
we would close the doors. And so I packed my bags and I went up to Minot, North Dakota, and I started knocking on doors. I just got a list of oil companies were up there, and lo and behold, there was this little hole in the wall office, and it was a company that used to be Standard Oil, but Hess bought them out. And I walked in there and I put the best sell on I could, and this James Wesselman was the guy. I remember him. He says, "Can you really do all that stuff?" I said, "Yes, we can." And so I started out. What I do, I went out and troubleshot some fiber optic lines with them, and I was out there with a Hess engineer, and I figured out the problem, and lo and behold, today they're our biggest customer still.
Yeah.
You know, we build ESP trailers for them today. We do tons of electrical work for them, automation. We do a lot of maintenance work for them. But so I started out doing that, and then all of a sudden we started doing a lot of programming. And then we actually come in and they got rid of their automation company that was there, and DSI moved in. And we started doing all their cause and effects and doing all their programming. And we built all their programs for their wells they're currently using today. Hess was such a great company, and they are a great company to work with. I mean, they're a blessing to be able to work with such a good company and an ethical company.
Yeah.
So in 2012, mind you, we didn't do electrical. We were just automation in a panel shop.
Yeah.
And in 2012, they asked us, can you guys do electrical? And, yeah, I told them exactly. I never lied to them. Said, hey, we don't do it, but here's what we can do. Okay. So we went to the city of Stanley, North Dakota, talked to them. They let us rent some land that we put a small little building on, which we ended up buying from them, and started our electrical company. And I told my partners, I said, if I can get my old instructor from school, Tony Russell, he's got a master license. I said, that guy is so smart. I said, if we can get him up there, I said, I guarantee you that that's going to work. And at 2010, for some reason, I always kept in touch. I was on the board for that school and helped them try to build up that automation class. But I always kept in touch with Tony, and I said, someday you're going to come work with us. Someday you're going to come work with us. And in 2012, I called him, and he says, wife said we can move. And he sold everything in South Dakota, moved to North Dakota, and it's been running awesome since, Yeah. So in 2012, we started that. And of course, when oil went up to $100 a barrel, I mean, it was just unreal, the amount of work that we did. And
when they were drilling, they had 200 rigs up there in total in the Bakken at one time, or close to it.
Yeah,
and, it was nuts. It
was nuts. And we were up to, I don't know, 110 probably people up there. And we other customers come to us and wanted us to do work, but we would literally fail. It actually gave us a bad name in some people's eyes because we were growing so fast that we couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
So you can grow too fast if you're not organized.
Yeah. You got to get organized to be able to grow.
Yep. So, and then 2016 hit. So at that time DSI was in Sioux Falls. We still were doing water, wastewater, doing all the agriculture stuff. We had the shop in Grand Forks. And we had the shop out in Stanley, North Dakota. And then the oil started going the other way, and then it went down $26 a barrel. Well, our revenue dropped in half.
Yeah.
And but we've always been a very thrifty. We don't have a Taj Mahal. We got very.
Yep.
I mean, we're a debt-free company, and we've always saved for the rainy days, if you will. But in 2016, in 14, when things were booming, I kept telling the guys, I said, "Hey, we should go look in Texas." And they looked at me like, "We can't handle the work here." That's actually what they said. And I said, "But someday it's gonna dry up. It will. We need to get more diverse, different customers and spread this out. We can't rely on basically one customer.
Diversity, you bet.
Because we literally 95% of our revenue was from that one customer.
Yeah.
So in 2016, when things were slower, I packed my bags and went down to Midland, and I looked around a little bit. But earlier in the year, I got a booth at the oil and gas show in Odessa, Texas. It's an international oil show. Happens once every other year. And I knew nothing about it, but everybody said, "Oh, you'll never get a booth." Well, I got a booth because somebody backed out. I got a booth. And I thank the good Lord. So October 2016, I go down there, and over 38,000 people came through that door for that show the first day. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And the people I talked to and the amount of work, I was like, wow. I walked over to the one of the distributors down there that sells Rockwell, and I shook their hand and I said, "We're coming to Texas." The guy says, "Call me when you get brick and mortar down here." Okay. So packed the bags after the show, went back up, got back down there. I was back down there in November, December. February 14th, I moved in the house down there in Midland, Texas. 2 days after that, we bought our shop, walked up into the rentals, said, "How you doing? Do you remember me?" "No." "Yep." "Okay. Yeah, I remember you. We're here. You got brick and mortar?" "Yep." They have been an ally of ours. They accepted us with open arms down there because there's not a lot of automation companies down there. So we opened up our panel shop down there too. Yeah. And literally we not doubled the first, like 2017 was slow, but then 18 and it just took off for us. And a third more revenue we brought in from down there. And then 2019 was our best year ever for DSI. And with the diversity that we did with all the different customers, because now today we have, at the same time, shortly after we opened that branch in Midland, we went over to Carlsbad, New Mexico, and we got basically a laydown yard. It's a small over there, but that way we could cover the Permian and the Delaware too. But today we have 6 locations. We got Douglas, Wyoming, Stanley, North Dakota, Grand Forks, North Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Midland, Texas, and Carlsbad, New Mexico. Yeah. So we can cover, and we've done work all over the United States. It has been such a ride, and I'm very, very proud to say that in September 23rd of this year, through all the COVID and the oil prices being down, we've still been profitable, but we were able to become 100% ESOP owned. Yeah. We have such good employees that I can't thank the Lord enough for all these good employees and what they've done for us. I'm telling everybody, man, the more you invest in your employees, the bigger, the better your company is going to run, the more attitude, or the better attitude they're going to have. I mean, invest in your employees.
Yeah.
And last year, last year our gross revenue hit a little over 43 million.
Yeah.
And it's been an amazing ride. I look forward to the future. Of course, this year we're down.
Yeah.
But we're still profitable, and that's what I tell everybody is that we tightened our hatches down, and just to let everybody know, we didn't lay people off, but we had people quit especially on the electrical side, and even some of the automation side. These guys travel, right? We're traveling companies.
Yeah.
And we had to clamp everybody down to 40 hours. And some of these guys were pushing brooms, and they travel, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not working 7 days a week, they're going to leave. And
yeah.
we actually had quite a few people leave. We had about 30 people leave,
Yeah.
But so at the same time, though, anybody that did want to stay, we invest in training, and I mean, so it's not just, you're not just standing around. We got fiber optics down there in Texas now. We built this nice trailer for so we can do climate controlled fusion splicing, and then we brought in a guy that he actually trained 6 of our employees. Ignition, which is another HMI software. We have two of our programmers now that are gold ignition programmers, and they're actually on the web.
You spent invested in your people, and your process go better, farther, faster next time when it comes back.
Exactly. So we're invested in training and stuff, and you would think, and then also too, we invested in marketing. We hired a couple more salespeople, and so we're beating the streets, and we're saying, "Hey, we're still here. We're still here. We're still here. We're still here." And we would get a little bit of work trickling in. So it's all paid off. It really has.
Yeah.
But so it's in a nutshell. That's the last 20 years of my life, and everybody else's.
Let's talk a little. So the business is awesome, dude. I just. It's such a cool ride, and I see those times, and I know that if someone listens to this and goes through it, they're going to understand, it. You look at it today, it's a sizable business, but they don't understand the struggle and the heartache and the challenges and the things that you overcome to get there. But it's cool to hear that from you and stuff. So. A couple other things, though, I do have to ask now, and I'd mentioned this at the beginning, but you're my brother. I think, without a doubt, you own the record in our family of 4 brothers or 4 boys for the most amount of speeding tickets. I don't know that, but I would guess, because you have a lawyer on staff, don't you, almost, with speeding tickets?
Put it to you this way. It's a good thing I didn't get all them tickets in South Dakota, because I probably wouldn't have a license.
Okay. That's one of the things, because you hold a couple of records in our household, and I think one is speeding tickets. That's for sure, without a doubt. And I think you're still building that record and leaving everybody else in the dust.
Yeah.
But
it's been 6 months though, probably, since I had it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, 6 months. Is that a good thing then?
Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good. And then the other record you hold is you were in the hospital more than anyone out of our whole family in a life, and I believe you're the only one that was air flighted. Were you air flighted, or was it just
no? It's just an ambulance.
Just an ambulance. Yeah. So that's the other record you hold in our family. But no, it's good.
I do have another dirt bike, by the way. So
yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah. You do have another dirt bike. Yeah. Well, hopefully age has helped.
It is, it's amazing when you jump on, it's only a 250, it's a two-stroke KTM, but
Yeah.
it's amazing how smart you get when you get older.
Yeah.
So,
It hurts
and
a
I'm
lot.
not going to say fear. I'm just going to say yeah, maybe it is a little fear, but yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, and then there's another important thing that happened to you earlier this year is you became a grandfather.
yes, I did. Yes, I did. It is, she is it is so, it's just unreal. It's just unreal to have that grandchild.
Yeah.
You know, the two daughters and the one's married and they just had their first child. And yeah, it is, she is going to be 4 months here at the end of this month, 4 months old. And I got to watch her the other night, all night long. And she's a very happy baby. I will tell you this, that I did not sleep much because I was just, I was worried, you know. So,
You're a grandpa. You're a grandpa.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but she's adorable, and going to see her next week again. So I'm excited for that. So yeah.
Well, good. Well, awesome, Craig. Hey, it was fun having you stop by and talk about your business. And I know that people are listening, really appreciate that, hearing from somebody that, built it from the ground up. And that's really what I was hoping, because, like I said at the beginning, a lot of people see the businesses at the end, but they don't understand what it took to get there.
Yeah. And it's definitely was worth it, but I thank the Lord every day, morning and night. I'm always thanking him for the opportunity and the strength to keep going. But yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. A lot of times it's just get back up.
It is. You're going to get punched in the gut so many times. And if you keep getting back up and try to make the right smart decision, hopefully you do. And, and I pray about it a lot and try to make the right decision. And, so, knock on wood, it's been working. So,
yeah, good stuff.
Hopefully we can do it in another 10 years, do the same thing. I don't know. We'll see. So,
yeah, I think you will. Well, thanks for being here today, Craig. Thanks for being there with us on LinkedIn Live there. And I'm going to shut her down for now.
All right. Thanks.